What's going on, guys? Zuko back with another Dragonflight video. How is everybody doing? I hope you're doing well. Bean, can you go? Oh, the cat is just, I'm telling you. Get. Her tail. Okay. I hope you're all doing very well. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about the single target build for Enhancement Shaman. Something that I've just been looking at recently that I think is a very good contender for a single target build for raiding. I have not been able to get into a raid. I haven't been on sort of at the right time. There's a lot of Thanksgiving stuff happening right now in Canada. Just so you guys know, I know you Americans celebrate it in November. We have Thanksgiving basically this weekend, so I've had some family stuff going on and haven't been able to like get on to do the raiding stuff in the exact like couple of hours that it's open. So I'm just going to show you on the target dummy, but I got a lot of stuff I want to talk about first. Number one, let me talk about the tuning that has happened already on tier set bonuses. So let's just look at this really quick. So there has been a post from Blizzard here where they've already tuned the tier sets that are coming in Season 1, which again doesn't launch until December 12th, right? So we have a couple weeks of the expansion going live from November 28th, and then December 12th, Season 1 goes live, and then you can get these tier sets. The tier set for Enhancement Shaman was something that was not very well received by a lot of people. I actually thought it was fine, and I know you guys have heard me say that a million times, but they have in fact changed it. Let's look at what they're doing to change it. So, Enhancement Shaman, Storm Strike increases the damage of your next Fire, Frost, or Nature ability by 10% and causes it to generate 1 stack of Maelstrom weapons. So, excuse me, the tier set as it exists right now says Storm Strike increases the damage of your next Lava Lash by 10%. So this is making it much more versatile. It's going to increase all your damage by 10% and cause it to generate a stack of Maelstrom weapons. So it doesn't matter what button you press. If you press Fire Nova, if you press Flame Shock, if you press Chain Lightning, if you press Frost Shock, it doesn't matter. You're going to generate 1 stack of Maelstrom weapons. So that's cool. Okay. Oh, sorry. Flame Shock is excluded. I forgot about that. Flame Shock is excluded, which is very, very good because you don't really care about the upfront damage of Flame Shock. It's not that big of a deal, right? So they're just making it on your heavy-hitting abilities. The 4 set now says, consuming Maelstrom weapon stacks increases your haste by 1% for each stack consumed, which is actually very, very good. So this is effectively saying you have 10% haste almost all the time if you're playing correctly as an Enhancement Shaman, because remember, we're consuming 10 stacks of Maelstrom weapon all the time now. So it's important to understand that this is basically going to give you 10% haste all the time, which is very interesting. The 4 set, as it is on live, was the cooldown reduction that people didn't like, and I thought it was actually kind of interesting, but they got rid of it. So this is the bonus now. So this is coming next week. I don't have this implemented right yet in the game, so I'm going to be showing you on the old tier set bonus. Just basically understand that the damage that I'm doing here today is going to be better when I get the new tier set bonus. Okay, it's just going to be better because you're going to be getting that haste. Haste in an early part of an expansion is so valuable because our haste values are really low because you get like stat squished every time you level up getting into Dragonflight, right? So let's talk about the single target build. Let me talk about this right here. This is basically the setup that I have. Let me talk about the class tree really quickly. You're going to want to come down and get mobility stuff, but what you can pick up for a raid scenario is really, really cool for your team. Number one, you can get, obviously, your defensive ability, and then you want a buff to it somehow, and then you want speed on your wolf. You can also get Wind Rush Totem for your entire team. You can also get Nature's Guardian, which will give you like a cheat death. So that's like extremely valuable right there. And then also, if you want to, you can come down the left side and go get Mana Spring Totem for your healers. Let me move to the middle here really quick. So this is really, really cool. You can get Healing Stream Totem plus Swirling Currents and then grab Mana Spring Totem, which they changed. Mana Spring Totem used to be like not a very long-lasting totem. I think you had like to basically keep it up a lot, which was very like really, really dumb. So now it basically says it's a 2-minute totem. It stays down for 2 minutes, and it restores 200 mana to you and 4 allies nearest the totem when you cast Storm Strike. So within 30 yards. So this will reach your healers, most likely. And you're going to be getting all the healers that are in your raid are going to be getting 200 mana every time you press Storm Strike. I don't know how good this is. I haven't been able to like actually test this, but this is a great version of this ability, and you do have enough points to spare when you're looking at this talent tree. All the throughput is basically like down here with improved lightning bolt, and then the speed stuff over here. So the rest of it, you can pick and choose whatever you want. The last most important note that I want to say for the single target build is you need to take Lava Burst. One change that Blizzard has made for Enhancement Shaman, and I'll get into the build now, is that Lava Burst gets replaced by Elemental Blast over here. And yes, we want to take Elemental Blast for this build. And guess what? If you take Lava Burst and Elemental Blast, you get 2 charges of Elemental Blast. 2 charges! This thing hits so incredibly hard once you get your Maelstrom weapon stacks all stacked up. Like, Lightning Bolt does 11.6k. This does 18.4k. It already does 7,000 more damage than Lightning Bolt. So it's going to be an enormous amount of damage on the dummy. And you can see from the last test that I just did, Elemental Blast was doing 20% of my damage. And the uptime on the buffs that you get are going to be like 30% basically across the board. 24% on the crit one. Insane amounts of damage. Also, Wind Fury is doing damage. Why is that? Well, we're taking Doom Winds. We are not, in fact, taking Wind Fury Totem. But we are taking Doom Winds, and we're taking all the Wind Fury buffs here. And they really have buffed Wind Fury in a big way for Enhancement Shaman. It's doing a lot of damage now. Now, this is the build that I've kind of settled on for single target. You need to go down and get all the fire stuff because you need to get Hot Hand and old school Primal Lava Actuators. It's called Ashen Catalyst now, okay? You need to get this. Hot Hand is going to be an enormous amount of single target damage when it procs. On the way there, instead of taking Hailstorm or Fire Nova, you can take Hailstorm, which is now going to make your Frost Shock do extra damage. Yes, we're not getting the cleave part of it because we're only on a single target boss encounter here, but it still does more damage. Each stack of Maelstrom Weapon consumed increases the damage of your next Frost Shock up to 5. That's 15, 30, 60, 75% more damage on your Frost Shock. Just on a single target, it's going to do 75% more damage. And then you can double that with Ice Strike to do a lot of extra damage. You can see on my breakdown here, Frost Shock was clocking in at almost 6% of my damage, which is fantastic on single target. Really, really good numbers there for Frost Shock. So this is how you can get down to Hot Hand. You take Hailstorm, you take Ice Strike, and you take Swirling Currents. These 3 talents put together are also going to help contribute to Maelstrom weapon stack generation, which can be an issue for Enhance on single target encounters. In AoE encounters, you press Crash Lightning once, and you're basically going to get all the Maelstrom weapon stacks you could possibly want. But in single target, you don't have extra targets to hit. So these extra buttons, having the Frost Shock, Hailstorm, and Ice Strike will generate 1 stack of Maelstrom weapon guaranteed. Hailstorm, consuming at least 2 stacks of Hailstorm will also generate 1 stack of Maelstrom weapon. That's because of Swirling Currents. So it's very, very good. Helps you generate Maelstrom weapon stacks. Helps you keep on top of the cooldown reduction for your dogs. And having your dogs up is also going to give you more Maelstrom weapon stacks, of course. Then on the left side, of course, we have Doom Winds and LE Blast. The final piece to this is going to be Elemental Spirits. You're not going to take Alpha Dogs. You're going to take Elemental Spirits, and that's because you're casting Frost Shock, you're casting Lava Lash when Hot Hands procs, and you're casting Lightning Bolt quite a bit, and you're also casting Elemental Blast. Remember, Elemental Blast is an elemental spell, which means it will double dip on your Elemental Spirits damage. If you get a Fire Dog and a Frost Dog, giving you 15% to each of those elements, those are both going to contribute to Elemental Blast's damage and give you a 30% bump to Elemental Blast. So it doesn't matter what dog is up, it's going to buff your Elemental Blast damage. That is why Elemental Blast is so big. I had a 157,000 crit. 157k crit on LE Blast. Are you kidding me? Look at that number. Insane damage from LE Blast. So, the very, very last thing I want to say is that the test that I just did on the dummies, I took Lashing Flames just because it's an easy double damage Flame Shock all the time. But instead now I'm actually going to try it with DRE and just see if I can get an extra proc on my Storm Strikes and see if that makes it any better. So there is a little bit of wiggle room here at the end. This last talent point you can put into DRE, you can put into Lashing Flames, you could put an extra point into Elemental Weapons, you could put a point into Feral Lunge if you really needed it, you could put a point into Wind Fury Totem if your raid team is really screaming at you to put that point in there. but hopefully you don't feel pressured to do that. But I think DRE is probably the absolute best you could do, but you could also do like 1 into Elemental Assault, 1 into Legacy. You know, it depends on whatever you want to do. I'm going to try DRE for this build right now. So here's what you're going to do. This is your single target build for Enhancement Shaman on a raid test. Again, this is like 100% uptime, which I'm not going to have in, you know, on a real boss fight. We're not going to have that. I'm also going to eat some food. I also have the tier set bonus on, which is not the tier set bonus that is going to be live next week, so just keep that in mind. My item level is about 373. I do have some gear, but this is basically like heroic item level gear into like Mythic 0 item level gear. It's something like that, okay? I am going to take this Glacial File just to make sure that we can see all the damage coming through there. And then here we go. We're going to start. So we're going to go Wolves into Storm Strike. We're going to do this. Build up some stacks. Get Doom Winds going. Here we go. And I need to reload. Give me a second. Give me a second. It's done it again. Everything is so bugged on the beta right now. None of my spenders were proccing there. So I just give me a second to reset that, because it's very, very frustrating when that is the case. Let's reload. I want to make sure you guys can actually see everything light up. Otherwise, it's going to reduce my damage, because I won't be able to see what's going on. See, it's all lit up now. It's all lit up now, so it's fixed. Hopefully, it'll stay that way long enough for me to get a little test in here. Okay, we'll wait for Doomwinds to come back, and then we'll go again. Okay? You're basically trying to press Elemental Blast. Whenever you can get 10 stacks of Maelstrom Weapon, you want to press Elemental Blast for sure. Having the two charges obviously doesn't like reduce the cooldown of it anymore. But what it does do is that, let's say you have a moment of downtime on the raid. So like you're forced to move away from the boss for like 5-6 seconds, let's say, to do a mechanic. All the while that's happening, your Elemental Blast can be recharging, or you can be firing Elemental Blast. You can just hard cast it from range and do a lot of extra damage still while you have to be away from the boss. Okay, so here we go. Let's look at this now. Make sure we're on current. Perfect. Here we go. Got some fire dogs, double fire dogs. So let's do fire damage right now. Watch my Elemental Blast here. 156k LE Blast right there. I'm gonna do Doom Winds as soon as this is over. Another LE Blast. Here we go. Doom Winds is up now. My LE Blast is coming back. I'm going to use one Lightning Bolt there. Frost Shock damage. Here we go. LE Blast. Dogs are back. Okay. We're waiting for Hot Hand procs. There we go. Another LE Blast. 118k LE Blast, because I had double Wolves up. Every time the Wolves are up and you can press LE Blast, you need to do it. I kind of screwed up right there. Here we go. LE Blast. You can just get so much damage out of it because the Wolves are giving you that elemental damage. It's just disgusting, man. Okay, LE Blast is coming. We're going to use it now. Now, it'll be back up for the dogs, which is really good. Here we go. We're going to wait on the dogs for 1 second here. Okay, dogs now into an LE Blast. Boom, big damage. You always want to try and get the dogs up before you press LE Blast. Now I'm going to wait on... I'm going to do another LE Blast here. I'm overcapping Maelstrom Weapon right now, but I want to get... Look at that damage. That's what I was waiting for. You want to try and get at least 2 Elemental Blasts in while the dogs are up. That would be my conclusion there. So we're sitting basically at 30k, 32k or so. Another Hot Hand proc. Going to be big damage here. Okay, LE Blast is back. Use it because the dogs are up. I think they just fell off there. But this is basically what you're going to do. You're just going to rotate through your different abilities, and you're really focusing on Elemental Blast. If you get a Hot Hand proc, obviously you're going to use it. And try to get every Lava Lash in there that you can. Dogs are back into LE Blast, right into LE Blast. Boom. 130k. 130k right there. Insane. And that's the build. Again, we're settling at about 30k, 31k. So this is like with full uptime on a boss. Of course, it's going to be a little bit less in reality. I didn't use Lust. But let's look at the damage breakdown. Elemental Blast is 22k. Look at the 156k crit once again. because of elemental spirits and the way that this interacts with elemental blast now, it is insane amounts of damage, and I think you'd be foolish to not take lava burst to get 2 charges of this thing. Like, the damage that it's going to pump out is insane. Our buff uptime was really, really good. 33% on crit, 26% on mastery, and then the haste was 20%, so a little bit lower on all of them, but still, you're getting stat bonuses. And at the beginning of an expansion, guys, I'm telling you, stat bonuses are absolutely insane at the beginning of an expansion. But here's the breakdown here. You can see this. Elemental Blast, Lava Lash, Wind Fury, that's our physical damage. This is just the Spirit Wolves doing extra damage. Storm Strike. Frost Shock, sorry, is way down the list, but remember, the Hailstorm buff is still making it do incredible amounts of damage. 5.6% for Frost Shock is really good on single target. Obviously, if we were in AoE, this would be a different story. Now, here's the final thing I want to say about the build before I sign off here. This build is also very, very flexible for boss encounters that have adds. Because of the way that Hailstorm works, it's going to cleave and hit 6 targets in total. Okay, it'll hit 6 targets for you. Also, you can Lava Lash and spread your Flame Shock to other targets as well, getting extra Flame Shock value. If you're running into a boss fight that's going to have adds, Hailstorm will give you tons and tons of damage. You don't have to change up your build a really big amount. You're going to get, you have Hailstorm here, it's going to proc for you. It's going to be really, really good. Now, I actually don't think Deeply Rooted Elements procced once. So there's a good example of why you might not want to take this. This looks like an insane talent to take, but I didn't get it to proc 1 time. So it would have been much better value to have Lashing Flames there, or to have Wind Fury Totem, or maybe Pharaoh Lunge if you need to get back to a boss fight, or whatever, guys. You can experiment with that. But there's going to be some boss fights where you will proc Deeply Rooted, but I got very unlucky in that that encounter. What was that? How long was that? That was 2.5 minutes with no proc, so unfortunate there. But that's the build, guys. That's a single target build. It also has cleave potential on bosses that are going to have adds, and I think it's really, really fun to play, and it does a lot of extra damage. It does a lot of damage. Really, the big takeaway here is that Elemental Blast is king. It will slap so hard. Try to time it with your Elemental Spirit Wolves. Make sure your Wolves are down, and then this is going to be doing 30% more damage every single time. So let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. That's a single target build. Sorry I couldn't get you in front of a raid boss fight, but it's kind of difficult to do that. The dummy is pretty good, though, and it's going to give you a great idea, a great baseline to start with on this is what your build could look like. This is how much damage you could be doing on a raid encounter with a decent amount of gear. We're talking about, I don't know, Mythic +2 type gear. That's what I'm kind of sitting at now. So let me know what you guys think in those comments down below. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one.